All right, so you know the basics of West Coast swing. You want to know which patterns you should learn next. These are the 5 patterns that are going to set you up for success so you can build confidence and look great on the dance floor. My name is Brian B, and this is
Miss Megan,
the Vanna White of West Coast swing. So the prerequisite is that you must know the 7 basic patterns: push, the right and left side pass, the sugar tuck, passing tuck, inside turn, and whip. If you don't know those, you'll want to watch our complete video here. That being said, let's get going. Move number 1, we probably know an inside turn. This comes out of beginner class, right? But another skill we want to learn is the outside turn. 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So let's talk about that from this side. It's going to be led a little bit like a whip, where I pull Megan slightly across and pivot her backwards. Now she's going to continue turning in a triple step and anchor step. So we're going to discuss the lead of this and the footwork all together. So leaders, I'm going to take my footwork out of it. I'm just stepping out like it would be a right side pass, same footwork. 1, I pivot her back for 2. The trick is I have to flip this hand up to the index finger side. She's going to travel under my arm for 3 and 4. There's a moment right here, it's a whole beat before she anchor steps. And that is a key to know. That is a key to know. You might know a sugar tuck. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember that position. Count 4 before she anchors. Remember that right there, because that's the same position we're going to get here. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So that's a good pattern to know, because that's where you're going to get some of these cool moves, 3 and 4, and boom, and get to some of this stuff here. So you need to know that outside turn. So that's pattern number 1. Number 2, you already basically know. You know a basic whip, but you're going to need to know a whip with an inside turn. This is the first non-basic move that I learned, that my friends taught me. Super easy. We get to count 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4 of a basic whip. I'm going to have to pull this hand and look at my wristwatch, step her forward for 5. I'm going to talk in detail about this in a second. 6, 7, and 8. But there's a key to victory that we kind of miss in the whip, and that's the fact that Megan has to stick to my right hand. So can you talk about that, Megan?
Stay connected. So we have 1, 2, 3, and. It is my job to stay connected to this hand on my back. So I'm only going forward on 4 as far as he tells me to go.
6, 7, and 8. So that's going to be a key. If the follower can stick to my hand, what it does is it provides a moment, 1, 2, 3, and it provides a moment where I can switch this hand inside for count 4. Now this is what all of our beginners get wrong. I have to step sideways on 5 and take Megan with me, right? Sideways on 5 and leave this space. Then this loops over her head for 6, 7, and 8. So that's pattern number 2. Third pattern is the whip with an outside turn. So you want to understand the branches of the tree. And if you want to understand the branches of the tree and how everything relates back to the push, pass, and whip, download this right here. It's a pattern tree chart. Click it. You'll get the gist of it. Anyways, third pattern is the whip with an outside turn. 2, 3, and 4 of 5, 6, 7, and 8. So same thing again. We get to 3 and. 1, 2, 3, and. So I can start to pick this hand up. Put the hand in this position here, so that as I step for 4, now I want to pivot her a half turn, and a half turn. There's that moment again we talked about before we anchor step. If we look at that from the other side, that's move number 3, the whip with the outside turn. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, when we teach group classes, one of the things we say is that the leaders and the followers need to look at the patterns differently. As the follower, you really need to understand your footwork to the patterns. As the leader, I kind of need to understand the gist, meaning I could screw up my footwork and dance on the wrong foot. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I did that all on the wrong foot, but I understand the gist of the pattern. Now, if Megan dances on the wrong foot, nothing works. So the followers have to know it doesn't work. It really doesn't work.
No, but you're really good at fixing it sometimes.
You're really good at fixing it at a high level, right? So followers need to understand the footwork to that whip inside and outside turn. The next one is the reverse whip. Again, a little bit different. Basic whip, but it turns differently. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it looks a lot like a whip, but enters in the reverse way. Instead of a basic whip, she comes to me this way. On 1, 2, we're going to go through this in detail. 1, 2, she goes the other way, and then it's all like a regular whip. Good news for the leaders, same basic whip footwork. Leading this, however, is tricky. So we're going to talk through the lead. I'm going to take my feet out of it for just, I won't take my feet out of it. So leaders, on 1, I have to bring her forward, and on 2, I have to check this hand a little bit that way, right? So I need good connection, elbows down, creating that away connection. 1, 2. So I'm setting up that little prep. I'm getting this hand ready as she turns around. I'm cutting this hand in front of her. 3, and there's that moment again where I step across for 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So Megan, can you talk to the followers' footwork?
Yes, so followers, we're going forward, forward. We're getting a clue, a lead,
hopefully,
to turn over our left shoulder and into the pocket that is their hand.
Perfect. And then from here, it's a basic whip on the way out. Now, just to show you, before we get to number 5, which is the coolest of all and will help you create really cool patterns, is now you all, because you know these last 3 patterns, you can start to combine, let's say, a reverse whip 4 with an inside turn, right? Or you can combine a reverse whip into an outside turn because you have these building blocks. Now, before we go to number 5, I don't want to forget, at the end of the video, we're going to share a video that shows you how to get in and out of these patterns with different handholds, and another resource that'll be really helpful. But the final one is off script. This is called a rock and go. So what is a rock and go? A rock and go is, if I used it on, well, I'll use it on a whip. If I use it on a whip, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There's my basic whip, right? Then if I let it turn, I would go into the turn 3 and 4, 5, and 6. But if I used a rock and go, it would look like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, rock and go, inside turn, anchor step. So quickly to define the rock and go, we have an entire video on the rock and go right here that we'll link up. But to quickly talk about it, you're bypassing the anchor step. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. So in this case, I'm going to be out of the slot on count 6. Normally, Megan would anchor step, but instead, what I'm going to do is anchor step, or rock and go, on the 7 and 8. And now from here, I could lead an inside turn. I could lead wherever I want, really. So understanding that you can bypass the anchor occasionally is a good skill to know. So I could do the 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, rock and go, inside turn, anchor step. Now that's just one way we can lead it. Another way, it's really unlimited. You could use a sugar push, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The follower is going to anchor, but instead I'm going to go rock and go out of that anchor step right into a turn. So if you want to see the video where we describe a bunch of different ways and exactly how to use the rock and go, you can click this here. This video down here is going to explain how you're going to get in and out of these patterns with different handholds. It's a 3-video series. But the coolest thing that we've ever created to help you develop confidence so you can look great in the dance floor is a membership over on our website. There's 17 different dance styles over there, not West Coast Swing, broken down by level. It'll tell you exactly what to learn next so you can feel great on the dance floor and dance your way through life.